You notice it in a room. That's usually how it starts. You're somewhere you've been 100 times before, with people you've known for years, and the conversation is the same conversation it always is. The same complaints, the same jokes, the same loop about the same things. And for the first time, something in you goes quiet, not because you think you're better than anyone in that room, but because you've started building something they don't know about yet. And you can feel, in a way you can't quite explain, that you're moving at a different speed than everyone around you. Here's what nobody prepares you for. Succeeding faster than the people around you doesn't feel like winning. Not at first. At first it feels like drifting. Like the world you belong to and the world you're becoming have quietly started to pull apart. And you're standing with one foot in each, wondering if something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. In fact, that exact feeling, the strange, lonely, hard-to-name discomfort you're carrying right now, might be the clearest signal that everything is finally going right. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and about the strange psychology of growth, and one of the most important things I've learned is this. The moment right before things change is almost always the loneliest. So let's talk about what's actually happening to you. And if this is hitting a nerve, a like genuinely helps it reach someone else who needs it. Alright, let's walk through it. Level 1. The signal. It's rarely dramatic. There's no single day where you level up and confetti falls. It's quieter than that. It's a slow accumulation of small moments where you realize the gap. You start waking up earlier and nobody around you understands why. You turn down the plans that used to be automatic, not because you don't care, but because you're protecting time for something they can't see yet. You get excited about an idea, and you bring it to the table, and it lands in a silence that isn't unkind, just uncomprehending. And you learn, quickly, to stop bringing certain things up. That's the first real signal, not the success itself, but the moment you start editing yourself down to fit back into a space you've quietly outgrown. You begin having entire conversations in your head that you can't have out loud, because the people around you are answering a different question than the one you're now living inside. This is normal. This is the beginning of every meaningful climb. And almost nobody talks about it, because it sounds ungrateful to admit that growth can feel like grief. Level 2. The silence. Here's the part that stings, so I'll just say it straight. The relationships don't always break, they just get quieter. The friend you used to talk to every day, you now talk to every couple of weeks, and neither of you did anything wrong. You're just pointed at different horizons now. The conversations that used to fill hours start to feel a little small, and you hate that you feel that way, because these are good people, people you love, people who were there. But you started asking bigger questions of your own life, and it's genuinely hard to shrink back down to small talk once you've tasted the bigger conversation. And so a distance opens. Not out of arrogance, not out of judgment, just out of a difference in velocity. You're running, and they're walking, and for a while you keep looking back over your shoulder, slowing down, trying to stay in step. And at some point you realize you can't keep doing that without stopping your own momentum entirely. That realization is one of the quiet turning points of any ambitious life, and it is genuinely painful, and pretending it isn't does nobody any favors. Level 3. The doubt. And this is where most people almost turn back, because when you're the one moving faster, you don't feel like a winner. You feel like a problem. You start to wonder if you've become distant, cold, self-absorbed. You replay the plans you turned down and the calls you didn't return, and you ask yourself if you're becoming someone you won't like. The doubt is loud in this stretch. Maybe I'm just being difficult. Maybe I think I'm better than everyone, and that's an ugly thing to be. Maybe I should just slow down, stay put, be normal, be content with what everyone else is content with. And here is the thing you have to understand about that voice. That voice is not your conscience. That voice is your comfort zone fighting for its life. Every system resists change, and the social system you live in is no different. When one person starts to move, the whole web feels the pull, and it will, often completely unconsciously, try to pull you back to where you were, because you're staying the same is what kept everything predictable. The doubt isn't a sign you're wrong, it's a sign you're actually moving. Things that don't move never feel this kind of resistance. Level 4. The mechanism. So let me explain what's actually happening under the surface, because once you see it, the loneliness stops feeling like a mystery and starts feeling like physics. Growth is invisible before it's obvious. When you decide to change, you change the inputs first. The habits, the hours, the standards, the people you learn from, the things you say no to. But the outputs, the visible results everyone else can actually see, lag way behind. So for a long, strange stretch, you are a fundamentally different person on the inside, while your outside life and everyone's perception of you hasn't caught up. You already know where you're going. Nobody else can see it yet. That gap between the person you've already become internally and the results that haven't arrived externally is the exact place where the loneliness lives. You're not lonely because you've done something wrong. You're lonely because you're early. You're standing in the future while everyone around you is still standing in the present. And the future is a quiet place to stand alone. But it doesn't stay quiet. Results always eventually catch up to inputs. Always. That's the one promise this whole thing actually keeps. Quick pause, because this next part is the part that decides how the story ends. If any of this is landing, drop a comment and just tell me one word for how it feels to be moving faster than your circle right now. I read them, and honestly, it helps people feel less alone to see they're not the only one. And a like helps this reach the next person quietly going through the exact same thing. Okay, back to it. Level 5, the discipline. Because here's where it gets real. Moving faster than everyone around you is not a personality trait. It's a set of choices you have to keep making, especially when it would be so much easier not to. You have to protect your standards when everyone around you is fine with less. You have to protect your time like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. You have to get comfortable being misunderstood, which is one of the hardest things a social creature can do, because we are wired to want to be understood by our tribe. And you have to do all of this without letting it curdle into arrogance, because that's the trap right here. The ugly little off-ramp. It is so easy, when you start pulling ahead, to start looking down, to mistake your speed for superiority. And the moment you do that, you've actually lost something more valuable than any goal, because contempt for the people you came from is not a sign of growth. It's a sign of insecurity wearing a nicer outfit. The people who succeed faster and stay whole are the ones who hold two things at once: fierce standards for themselves and genuine warmth for everyone else. That combination is rare, and it's the whole game. Level 6, the people. So what do you actually do about the relationships? Because the answer is not to cut everyone off and disappear into your grind like some kind of monk. That's the cheap, cold version, and it usually just means someone's scared. The real answer is more honest and more human. Some relationships will naturally fade, and you let them with gratitude, not resentment. Some will surprise you by growing right alongside you, and those are gold. Protect them. And a few of the people you love just need you to keep showing up as yourself, without the pressure of them having to be on your exact path. You don't need everyone to run at your speed. You just need to stop resenting the people who don't, and stop pretending to be slower than you are just to keep the peace. And here's the part that separates the people who grow bitter from the people who grow big. When you can, you bring people with you. You share what you learn. You leave the door open. You become the person you wish you'd had when you were standing where they're standing. Succeeding faster doesn't have to mean succeeding alone. The best version of it means widening the path behind you as you climb. Level 7, the reframe. So here's what I need you to actually hear. That discomfort you've been carrying, the drift, the silence, the doubt, all of it is not a warning sign. It's a receipt. It's the proof of purchase for the change you've been making. You cannot become someone new and have it feel comfortable, because comfort is the feeling of things staying the same, and you are, on purpose, refusing to stay the same. The loneliness of moving faster is not a detour from the path. It is the path. Everyone who ever built something meaningful walked through this exact stretch, this quiet, foggy, in-between place where the old life doesn't fit anymore, and the new one hasn't arrived yet. Most people turn back here. They feel the discomfort, they misread it as a mistake, and they retreat to the warmth of staying the same. And there's no shame in that. It's the more comfortable life. But you're clearly not built for the more comfortable life, or you wouldn't have felt every word of this. So stop asking whether something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You're just early. And early is lonely right up until the moment it isn't. Level 8, the arrival. Because it does arrive. One day, and you won't even notice the exact moment it happens, the speed that used to feel isolating just becomes your normal. The habits stop feeling like discipline and start feeling like who you are. The results catch up to the inputs, quietly, the way they always eventually do. And you look around and you found new rooms, with new conversations, with people who are also standing in the future. And for the first time in a long time, you're not editing yourself down to fit. You're not the fastest person in the room was never the goal. The goal was to find the rooms where your speed is normal, and your ambition isn't a threat. And the big conversation is just the conversation. And the people you love from before, the ones who mattered, most of them are still there because you carried them with warmth instead of leaving them with judgment. You didn't have to choose between growing and staying human. You just had to walk through the lonely part without turning back, and without turning cold. So here's what this all comes down to. Succeeding faster than everyone around you was never really about being ahead of anyone. It was about being willing to feel uncomfortable and misunderstood and temporarily alone in exchange for becoming who you actually are. The gap you're feeling right now isn't distance from other people. It's the distance between who you were and who you're becoming. And it closes, from the inside, a little more every single day you keep going. So keep going. The rooms are out there, the people are out there, and the version of you standing on the other side of this lonely stretch is closer than the doubt is telling you. You're not lost, you're early. And early always, always arrives. Quick reminder that I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is financial advice. Just some thoughts on the strange psychology of growing faster than your surroundings. If this reached you at the right time, a like and a share genuinely help it reach the next person. And I'd love to hear in the comments where you are in this right now. I'll see you in the next one.